I'm Rantasmo, and Cutie Honey needs more gay. Hey, does anyone else wish that they could henshin like a magical girl? Putting clothes on in the morning just takes so much time. Wouldn't it be way easier and more fun if you could just be like... The Cutie Honey franchise is sort of a sci-fi take on the Japanese magical girl archetype. It's been around since the 70s and has had many different incarnations, from manga to anime to live-action movie. But here I'll mainly be talking about the live-action TV show from 2007, also known as Cutie Honey the Live. The basic elements tend to remain the same regardless of the medium. Honey is a crime-fighting android with the power to generate objects from thin air, and to transform into various outfits in a flash of fan service nudity. The live-action show is a bit like Power Rangers for grown-ups, with the addition of two more superpowered girls named Miki and Yuki. Let me begin by saying that I'll be the first to admit that this is not a great show for women. Like, as a species. The show clearly draws some inspiration from Charlie's Angels, both in the fact that it centers around three crime-fighting females, and also for other reasons. And while it does put an interesting spin on the female action trio motif, it also male gazes them way more than I'm comfortable with. It belongs to a Japanese genre called ecchi, which relies heavily on sexual humor. I never really understood this particular brand of sexuality as comedy. Like, I sometimes feel that the people who make anime expect me to laugh hysterically every time a boob gets touched. It's funny, because a boob got touched. Again. This sort of humor has always been a signature of the Cutie Honey franchise, and of other ecchi-style media. But it's extra uncomfortable here, in part because it's live action, but also because the characters in question are supposed to be 17 years old. Honey in particular is kind of a big ol' problem. She's the most sexualized of any of the characters, literally fighting bad guys with her weaponized boobies and butt foo. And in this incarnation, she's also really infantilized, with the mind and personality of a hyperactive child. She's like a weird, sexy baby. I guess it's semi-justified because she has a robot brain that's not necessarily constrained by self-awareness and human decency, but it still feels kinda messed up. This is also not a great show where LGBT people are concerned. The same can be said for the original 1973 anime, whose lesbian character was mainly a source of ridicule and comic relief. Note her weird-ass face. Cutie Honey the Live features a couple of lesbian characters, which is not to be discounted in a live-action Japanese show, but both of them are villainous monsters. Arguably the most sympathetic villains in the show, mind you. But one of them is a straight-up sexual predator who seduces her students while swallowing eggs like a goddamn snake demon, and the other, Yuki, ends up being the big bad of the series. There's also a male character who develops a female alternate personality, giving the protagonists an opportunity to be totally grossed out by what is effectively either a male-bodied woman or a murderous drag queen. Like I've said before, a villain being queer is not in itself a problem. But it is a problem when their sexuality or gender expression is framed as a thing to be reviled or fetishized. And that is unfortunately the case here. So if Cutie Honey has so many glaring problems, then why do I love it so much? The truth is that this show is really fun. Honey may be a weird fan service nightmare, but she's also really cool. Yes, she fights bad guys with her breasts, but on the other hand, she fights bad guys with her breasts. The fight scenes are really stylish and well done, and there's dudes with guns for arms and killer robot maids, and Mark Musashi plays a guy with blades in his feet, and he's all kicky and shit. And Miki, oh my god, Miki is the biggest badass ever. It is also worth noting that even though Yuki ends up being the show's primary villain, that has nothing to do with her being attracted to women. In fact, up until she goes psycho in the last third or so of the series, she's one of the most positive portrayals of a lesbian I've seen come out of Japan, especially because that's not her defining characteristic. She has, like, a personality and stuff. That's what makes this show so great. It has a personality. It has something going on behind its boobs. That's something that you can't really say about a show like Baywatch that was pretty much only fan service and little else. But it is possible to enjoy something and also understand that it has problems. Which is why I think that this hat is starting to grow on me.